How's it going, guys? We are now live. I am running things solo for this month's episode of Paper Movies, a novelization book club. I'm your host, Adam, and I am doing my very first single cut live stream. I've done single cuts before in the past, but this will be the first live stream. And even though we're doing a single cut, it's technically for two novelizations. So, bringing you some double the Batman tonight. Um, Jeremy was and Matthew were not able to be on this episode this month, so I just thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about both the novelization to Batman Begins and a sequel, I should say. It's not directly part of the Dark Knight trilogy, but this is the animated continuation, Batman Gotham Knight, the novelization to it. The novelization to Batman Begins was written by Dennis O'Neil and based on the original screenplay by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer. And the story was by David S. Goyer. So again, Matthew and Jeremy couldn't make it tonight, and but I do want to give a quick shout out to Jeremy. He last couple of months he really held the fort down while things were going on for both me and Matthew. So Jeremy, thank you so very much for keeping things going, and I'll talk about what we're going to be what we're planning to discuss for February near the end of the video. So probably won't be on here for too long tonight, but we're going to go ahead and get started with Batman Begins, the first movie in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, a brief summary on Batman Begins. Batman Begins is essentially an origin story to Batman after Bruce Wayne's family was murdered in an alley, a crime alley, as they call it. He spends most of his young adult life traveling the world, training. He meets with a man named Ducard, and who introduces him to the League of Shadows, where they train him. The League of Shadows is led by a man named, well, technically it's Ra's al Ghul. That's how it's normally supposed to be pronounced, but in the movie they called him Ra's al Ghul. I don't personally care for that. I've always liked Ra's al Ghul. So, but just for the, just for giggles, I'll just go ahead and just call it a Ra's al Ghul tonight. But they train him to become a ninja, but to initially become a member of the League of Shadows, you have to be willing to take a life in the pursuit of justice, which Bruce Wayne, as most of you know, will not. Batman does not want to kill anybody, so he just wants to train to be able to come back to fight injustice in Gotham City. So, with the help of his butler, Alfred, he becomes Batman. So, Batman Begins, the novelization, the movie itself, I personally love. I love Batman Begins. I think I saw it twice when it came out in theaters. I personally really enjoy it, and not only that, it features my all-time favorite Batman villain. It's not the Joker, it's not the Riddler, Two-Face. It features the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is my favorite Batman villain of all time. I'm not entirely a huge fan of how he was portrayed in this movie. I didn't really like the whole, wearing a full suit with just the plain Scarecrow mask. I get why, they wanted to kind of portray him in that sense, as this is supposed to be a more grounded Batman. And on that note, I'm not a big fan of that the Nolan verse wanted to do that, make the Batman more grounded and realistic. I don't know. It just, to me, that just kind of takes away from Batman, because Batman has been able to save the day and defeat foes that clearly have him outmatched, outgunned, and I mean, he's able to hold his own for the most part against Superman or Wonder Woman. And but now it's just like with him grounded and everything, it just kind of just makes him that you know he's just just beating up random people, which, he's fully capable of doing. But anyway, I digress. Batman Begins, I thought, was very well written. Um, is it 100% the movie? Actually, no, it's not 100% the movie. They've uh, added quite a bit of stuff to it. I have my notes right here. Um, Not only did they add to this, like they added like if this was added to the movie, they would have added like maybe 20 extra minutes to it. Um, but there are some references to other Batman characters. I have here in my notes. They do make a reference to Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, who would later make an appearance in um, Batman: The Dark Knight Rises as the secret main villain of the whole thing. So they make a reference to that. And I also like that they kind of portrayed this story, just it from start to finish. In the movie, it would start at certain parts and it would go to a flashback, and then it would bring us back to the present day. And they didn't do that for this one. They just kind of there's no flashback. They just kept going. Um, they made other references to like things known within the DC universe, especially the Batman universe. There's a reference to the Order of Saint Dumas. If you played the Arkham games, they've made reference to that. They've had a character named Azrael. Um, they when Batman actually creates his batarangs, like they actually Alfred makes me like you should call them batarangs, which in the movie they never actually refer to them as batarangs. So I like that. But this next reference kind of ties into the additional content that they featured in the novelization. There is like this whole subplot of so for most of in the movie, after Batman refuses to join the League of Shadows, he refuses to kill a prisoner that they had in pursuit because he was not willing to kill in the name of justice. So he destroys uh, the building that the League of Shadows were established in. He knocked out his mentor named Ducard, which, as most of you also know, was eventually revealed to be Ra's al Ghul. But anyway, there's like this whole subplot where Batman was wanting to learn more about Ra's al Ghul. So he travels outside of Gotham for a good portion of, the story. He heads to the library to research Ra's al Ghul. He tries to acquire this, uh, there's this item that he's looking for that would give him more knowledge of who Ra's al Ghul is. And eventually it just leads to him, breaking into, he tries to buy this item, but they, the people that had the item would not sell it to him. So he eventually just breaks in and to the library. But I don't know. I personally didn't really care for that whole thing. I didn't think it was really needed. Um, Especially since he believes that Ra's al Ghul was dead. I didn't really. I mean, I know that it intrigued him to want to find all of this knowledge of Ra's al Ghul because they're he heard about all the legends surrounding Ra's al Ghul, which they kind of make that implication that in this version Ra's al Ghul's immortal, which if it was a more grounded approach, um, he wasn't immortal. Um, but they kind of play that off in the Dark Knight Rises where there he says there are many forms of immortality. But yeah, I thought Batman Begins was good. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the next reference that I that ties into that whole additional content that I was talking about. Bruce Wayne goes under a different alias, and he refers to himself as Jean Paul or Jean Valley, which If you've read the Batman comics, that was in the whole Nightfall storyline after Batman was injured, his back was broken by Bane. Um, Jean Paul Valley, who was Azrael, eventually became filled in for Batman while Bruce Wayne was recovering. So, and he got that full, pretty cool armorized suit and everything that. Um, so yeah, he went under that name. So I always thought that was kind of a fun reference. But yeah, the novelization itself, it's very well written. I was engaged through the whole thing, and I actually listened to this novelization on audiobook. And I'm going to bring up that YouTube channel right here to give them a quick shout out because I cannot remember it at the top of my head. But it is Beyond the Page Audiobooks. It was actually I actually listened to his audiobooks for both Batman Begins and Batman Gotham Knight. So be sure to go check out Beyond the Page Audiobooks. They have novelization audiobooks for several other novelizations. I'm looking at their screen now. They got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghost Rider, which I'm probably going to check that one out. Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four: The Rise of the Silver Surfer, and also The Punisher, which I listened to when me and Jeremy discussed The Punisher. They also have it for Daredevil, Spider-Man, the Hulk, quite a bit, the whole Dark Knight trilogy. So definitely, if you're into comic book movies and collecting comic book movie novelizations, definitely go check out Beyond the Page audiobooks. So quick shout out to them. Thank you so much for all of for making those audiobooks. So there wasn't much that I didn't care for with Batman Begins. It was there was a couple of things that I made note of. There was like most of the line "swear to me," where Batman is interrogating uh, Jim Gordon's corrupt partner on the force. He holds him up on the line, and whenever he's like demanding to know like where these drugs were going, he says, "I don't know. I swear to." And then Batman just interrupts, saying, "Swear to me." Yeah, that wasn't in this novelization. I didn't. I wish it was because I thought that whole scene was pretty good. Let's see. Looking at my notes here. Yeah, that's pretty much most of what I got for Batman Begins. I definitely recommend it. It's really good. It's the whole additional content thing. I didn't really think we needed that much of it. I thought, I mean, it was interesting, but again, I just didn't really think it was needed. It didn't really hurt uh, the Batman Begins story with or without it. So it was fun to just kind of get, something different. But again, I didn't really think it was needed because I think how it was formatted in the movie was, was fine enough. Um, so yeah, definitely. If you guys have not read Batman Begins by Dennis O'Neil, definitely recommend checking it out. And not only that, I know some of you might listen to this, on our where you can find our podcast, but the cover is amazing. I like that where it just shows Batman just standing behind an illuminous or in front of with an illuminous background behind him. It's really cool. I like it. So yeah, for my rating, I'm going to give Batman Begins in just a regular A minus. I thought it was very well written. Um, it had a decent amount of what I like to look for in a novelization. Just you know, basically it follows the movie, but it adds a little bit more to keep it intriguing. But it did kind of go a little bit too far with that whole researching Ra's al Ghul thing. So I didn't really, like I said, I didn't think that was really needed. So for that, it was still well written though. I'm gonna give it an A minus. So if you guys have not read Batman Begins, definitely recommend checking it out. But with that said, now let's move on to the sequel, quote unquote sequel to this was more or less advertised more as a Dark Knight prequel. but I mean, that also means it was like a, a sequel to Batman Begins. It's Batman Gotham Knight. This was a animated movie. This did not have Christian Bale voicing Bruce Wayne Batman in this. It was actually Kevin Conroy who voiced it, and I'm glad it did because you can never go wrong with Kevin Conroy as Batman. May he rest in peace. It was very tragic when he passed away. So, um, yeah, I'm still sad about that. Like, I really enjoyed Kevin Conroy's performance as Batman. That was like my childhood, especially watching Batman the animated series and playing the Arkham game. So, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. The novelization to Batman Gotham Knight was written by Louise Simonson, and it was based on the story by Jordan Goldberg. Now, this takes place after Batman Begins, within Batman's first year of being Batman. The movie plays it out as it follows a series of stories where Batman encounters several different foes, and that's essentially how this novelization plays out as well. Is just within Batman's first year of crime fighting, he encounters a series of foes while also continues to collaborate with uh, Lieutenant Gordon and the MCU Major Crimes Unit. Now, in the movie, Batman Gotham Knight um, was formatted to show like it was formatted to different animation styles telling different stories. There was one where a group of skaters were talking about all of their experiences, like when they first saw Batman and how they kind of all describe him differently. I remember in the movie, one kid thinks Batman's a cyborg, another one thinks that Batman's like a demon bat, and yeah, and they all just kind of tell their stories. Another one shows Batman testing out new gear with Lucius Fox. There was one where Batman was having flashbacks about how he learned to, try not to, how he learned to deal with pain and how to, fight through pain. And there was one where he was trying to hunt down the Scarecrow in the sewer, which leads him to meet Killer Croc. So, and also there was a story where he meets Deadshot. So that in itself answers like one of the biggest questions: that are there more Batman villains within the Nolan universe? And the answer is yes. So far, Batman has fought Ra's al Ghul. He's fought Zaz, who was in Batman Begins. He fought the Scarecrow, and in this one, he fights Killer Croc, and so on. So I thought that the novelization was better than the movie because it does a great job at connecting all of it to make it one big story. And like I said, I thought it was written very well. Like, I kind of wish that they would have just stuck to maybe like one animation style or made it like a mini series that took place between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, instead of just making it like 4 to 5 different, animated shorts. I think this should have been like a full series, or at least, how it was, the story was presented and formatted in the book. I kind of wish was done for the movie. And there are way more scenes that were shown from Batman's perspective in this. In the movie, it was kind of more the first few. There were some that just kind of showed people's um from the reaction of either Gotham citizens or the police force, and like their, perspective of seeing Batman and everything. This one though, it shows more from Batman's perspective, which I like that. And there's one big change that I noticed in The Dark Knight. You may remember a character named Detective Ramirez, who was eventually revealed that she did some, jobs for the mafia because she needed help paying for her mom's medical bills, and Two Face eventually found that out. Um, well, her name in the novelization was Detective Montoya, and I know that because there's like one story where um, that mentions Ramirez's name, but in the novelization it was Montoya, but it was like the exact same scene from the movie. Uh, so I think Montoya is actually a established within the Batman universe. They in the comics and the Batman animated series, and even in the I'm playing right now Gotham Knights, and Detective Montoya is in that as well. So it was kind of interesting when they did that. I don't know why they changed it to Ramirez. It was probably I'm not sure why they changed that, honestly. I don't know if it was just at one point it was her name was originally going to be Montoya and they just decided to change it for whatever reason. I don't know. But in the book, the novelization, her name is Ramirez, and in the movie, her name is Ramirez. And one of my favorite things about Batman Gotham Knight is that they have more interactions with Killer Croc. Killer Croc's another one of my favorite Batman villains. It kind of goes in a little bit more detail about Killer Croc's history and about. I thought, you know, since Batman, the Dark Knight universe is kind of more grounded. It's kind of it makes me. I was curious how they were going to kind of portray Killer Croc, which in the comics and in the video games, like he's presented to be like this giant, lizard-like man with like scales. But in the Batman Gotham Knights and in the Nolaverse, they kind of portrayed it as if he just had a rare skin condition that was kind of like mutated due to like his exposure to chemicals and everything in the sewer. And it looks like we got someone joining us here in the comments. We got Animal Mother 8037. Hey, thanks so much for joining. He said he finally played and beat Arkham Asylum. Oh, nice, man. What did you think of it? I love Arkham Asylum. I've been wanting to replay it, but I remember replaying that and it scaring me, like the whole Killer Croc thing. Like that the whole part of the game scared me. So yeah, let me know what you thought about it. Um, so yeah, like I said, I liked how Gotham Knight was formatted. Because some of those different, I mentioned that it was kind of the movie separates them out by like scene by scene with like different animation styles. Like, well, one, uh, they kind of like intertwine two of the stories. Like, there was a story where Batman is investigating the kidnapping of a cardinal from a cathedral, and it's revealed that he was kidnapped by some thugs that were loyal to the Scarecrow. And I will say, I did not like how the Scarecrow looked in that in the movie. It looked weird. Like, I don't know. I just didn't. I appreciate that they were trying to add elements to make him look like an actual scarecrow, but like I don't know, I just didn't really care for it. But anyway, um, well, they were kind of intertwining this story, and there was another, and they used one of the other stories as a flashback with him trying to learn how to deal with pain, where he takes lessons from a woman named Cassandra um, on how to like on pain management and everything. Where Batman briefly volunteered um, to did some like medical volunteering for in another country. So I liked how they kind of like tied those together. So Batman Gotham Knights or Gotham Knight, sorry, it was good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, if you subscribe to Beyond the Page audiobooks, they have this book novelization for audiobook, and I recommend it. It's really good. And for my rating, I'm going to give it an A. I really enjoyed it. Um, I haven't read a lot of Batman books, like other than the novelizations. Like this felt like it could be its own standalone story, you know. And I've known that they've done that before with like the Robert Pattinson, the Batman. Like they wrote a small like book, kind of like a as a prequel that kind of shows from both the perspectives of Batman and the Riddler. Um, I definitely been wanting to read more, Batman novels. Like they have novelizations of certain famous stories like Nightfall, No Man's Land. I've been wanting to read those, so I'll have to check those out. Let me catch up on some comments here. Uh, Bought the Arkham Asylum trilogy on Xbox Game Pass for $6. Loving it so far. And now you're playing Arkham City. Arkham City was my favorite. That was my favorite of the of all of the Arkham games, and it included the DLC. It's awesome, very good deal. Yeah, I remember I bought Gotham Knights on PS5 for like $10, and I did hear that it didn't really perform well. So I was kind of like hesitant to buy it, but when I saw that it was like $10, I was like, you know what, I'm enjoying it so far. I see where people weren't a big fan of it, but I'm still enjoying it. I do have some thoughts on that. So, but I'm glad that you're enjoying the Arkham games. I just wish that they were not making Arkham Origins so hard to, you can't buy that digitally. You have to like subscribe to certain, I think you have to subscribe to the PS Network. And because I actually enjoyed Arkham Origins, I know a lot of people didn't care for it, but I enjoyed it. So, but let me know what you think of Arkham City. But with that said, yeah, that does it for this single cut. I've been going for about close to 30 minutes now. Yeah. Definitely, if you haven't, go out, find Batman Begins and Batman Gotham Knight. I think they're both really great, stories or novelizations. Um, and like I said, with Batman Begins, like that whole additional content where he's trying to research the myths and everything revolving around Ra's al Ghul. I think it could have done without it. It doesn't hurt it either way, uh, but I definitely think that you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of Batman Begins. And but yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this month's episode of Paper Movies and Novelization Book Club. I hope you enjoyed the first live stream single cut. But I got one more comment here before we head out. Let's see. Batman Beyond skin looks excellent. Can't wait to try Batman 89 skin and Batman and the Batmobile on the next game. Yep, absolutely. Every time I play Arkham Knight, I always use the 89 skin. Like that's my favorite bat suit, and I have played the challenges on there where you can play with the 89 Batmobile. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely. And I don't know, just the 89 Batsuit just kind of fits the vibe of Arkham Knight. So in my opinion, at least. So yeah. And yeah, they in Arkham Knight, they also have a Batman Beyond skin. I personally like it. I know a lot of people have complained about it, but I personally like it. I think the original, like in Arkham City, is cooler, but I think the one in Arkham Knight looks pretty good too. Um, and you're going to read Batman Resurrection soon. Oh, nice. Yeah. Have I read that one? I can't remember. um, Batman Resurrection. Let me look that up real quick. Oh, I'm reading. I have read that one. Yeah, I was like the John Jackson Miller one. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm actually about to review that one soon. So yeah, I got it confused with Batman Revolution, which I'm currently reading now. So yeah, Batman Resurrection. It's great. Geek Static has a review of it on his channel. It's uh, it's really good. John Jackson Miller like really delivered with that one. So I hope you enjoy it. Animal Mother 8037. But guys, that's gonna do it for this month's single cut or paper movies novelization book club episode. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and comment down below what you thought of Batman Begins and Batman Gotham Knight if you've read it, or comment what other books you're about to read. I know, like you said, you're going to have to read Batman Resurrection. So, and be sure to join us. We're going to have an episode on February 13th where we talk about Aliens 3. And also be sure to visit our previous episodes where we talked about the other Alien novelizations. So, guys, thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.